Hello and welcome back to the final leg of our trip around jQuery, Azure, and AngularJS. I hope you still have energy as much as we do. We have our drinks of choice over here, lots of caffeine to keep us going
just
too.
like straight up caffeine, my friends.
Absolutely,
Yeah,
absolutely.
chucking it back.
Yes. So here we are on our final leg of the trip. It's deploying to Azure. Okay. So we've built these wonderful little mock-up websites and templates, but now we've got to get them off the ground and deployed so that people or potentially clients can actually see what we're working with over here. Now, if you don't already have Azure or have access to it, there are 90-day trials you can download and use, or you can reach out to your local evangelist, speak to them, and on occasion we can grant BizSpark memberships, which allow you $150 a month of Azure access, which should be more than enough to help you get these projects off the ground. So, first up, module overview. We're going to take a brief look at the Azure SDK, which should be included with Visual Studio anyway, but want to see some of the notes. We're going to upload our projects to via Visual Studio, but then we're also going to see how we can do it in a number of other ways. And that includes doing it through the web portal. And finally, GitHub seems to be the new hotness right now. So we're going to take our content, which we currently have stored in GitHub and you should be using right now. We can take all of that, and as we're updating there, we can then push it live to our website. So we're going to show you through the SDK real quick, take our site, and use both Visual Studio, GitHub, and the Azure portal to get the content up.
Oh man, I can't wait for you to show people GitHub. The GitHub hook is just, it's off
Easy.
the chain. It's so good.
I know. I like it.
So
I like
good.
it.
So
I like
good.
it. Personally, I am horrible when it comes to command line things. Stacy was poking fun at me yesterday. She's like a little guru when it comes to that stuff.
There's a little hacker moment, you know, with the music in the background, just like
Risk, yeah, the Risk chip is good. All right.
Yeah.
I can see everything like visualizing these big servers and computers.
Thing is, though, with that, you don't need to be doing necessarily command line. There's just certain things sometimes that gives you a little bit more information on, like using Git.
That's right.
But you know, like a lot of people use the GitHub kind of UI tool or UI. There's a bunch of them. You know, the GitHub has their own tower, etc. So it doesn't
source tree.
Yeah, it doesn't really matter.
Yeah. I'm not very good with command line. I left the DOS days a while ago, so I can go to Windows and have a GUI, and that's why I tend to use.
You call yourself a developer?
I know.
So kidding.
It's okay. So the Azure SDK, it should be included when you download Visual Studio, the latest update, version 3 to Visual Studio 2013. But in case you don't, you can download it separately. It includes a bunch of NuGet packages as well as separate things like Azure Mobile Services SDK, which we were working with earlier.
Lovely.
Scott Guthrie has an enormous amount of resources on his blog about the latest updates to the SDK, so you can go take a look at it. I actually made a little shorthand link for all of you right here, aka.ms, Azure SDK MVA, so this way you can always be aware of what is happening, our latest changes. So to bring you to this page right here, okay, we can see the 2.4 release notes, updated August 4th, 2014. And again, this should come with latest version of Visual Studio, 2013 update 4. I just cannot get this thing
It's
straight.
like you're drawing with your left hand or your dominant hand.
It's that dinosaur typing that I was doing before.
So where the fish is, that's where the update is.
Well, I did grow up on Long Island where it's just the opposite. You see it's kind of like this, their little fishtail, and then I want you to really focus on this part of the SDK over there.
Dude, that looks like an airplane.
Yeah, it looks like a dolphin. I'm just not a good artist at all.
End of day, we're getting loopy.
Yeah. So we need this SDK to kind of get started, which is going to be included with Visual Studio. So back to our slides. Where are these lovely slides? Okay. Uploading your website.
Dun, dun, dun.
Here's the good stuff. Again, two approaches. We can do it via the Azure SDK in Visual Studio, which I've highlighted right here on the left-hand side. We have our Source Explorer. Or we can do it through the Azure Web Portal, which is the browser that Stacy was running you through earlier. So we're going to branch off to the left path first. We're going to do it in Visual Studio. Demo, uploading the site via the SDK. Here we are back in Visual Studio.
I love how you announce that. Demo!
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 Okay.
We're going to sing everything.
I have some energy. So here we are at this beautiful jQuery site we had before. Again, we'll quickly look through the Solution Explorer. See our website. We have our Angular and jQuery folder. Now notice where the index is located. This index file, I have it located right here
Now this is, you know, just to kind of iterate, this is how we structured our repository so that we could work together.
Yep.
But this isn't necessarily how a traditional web developer would structure their repository, right? Like they wouldn't have these routes of jQuery and stuff in there and things like that. So just so you guys are aware, this is kind of just us working with our repo and not necessarily how you would, you know.
You got to make use of what you got.
Yep.
Okay, so we have this. On the left-hand side here, we're going to see Server Explorer. So these tabs kind of pop in and out. See, I have Solution Explorer. You can keep them pinned right up here if I want to always have access to that. But because I don't have tons of room on this monitor, I want you to see it. I kind of have them hidden over here. If for whatever reason it doesn't ever display, you can go right over here to View, and you can see all the options that we have available to us. So I have my team.
Where the dolphin, airplane, or fish is.
Yes. I was for control here. So you can see I have my Solution Explorer we just looked at, Team Explorer, Server Explorer. So Team is more for ALM, application lifecycle, keep management, and then Server Explorer. So right here, my little Server Explorer. When I first start this up, it's going to look like this every time. I'm going to have just Azure, some data centers, maybe some servers over here, and even SharePoint. Whoops, this thing is just zooming in like a madman.
Wow.
Sorry about that.
Ding, ding, ding. We need sound effects when that happens.
Yeah. It's like some Wayne's World stuff over there. Yeah. So if I open up Azure, the first time I go to do this, none of this is going to appear. So I've actually got to log in. So I'm going to manage subscriptions. Oops. You can see that I'm already logged in through starting line 13 at hotmail.com. Shows how long I've been doing this. The fact that I have a Hotmail address.
Wait, was there a number in that address?
And there was.
Oh, you just hit the mother lode. That's amazing. That's awesome.
Yeah, so I have an old Hotmail address.
Keep going.
Okay, I can use this to connect to a database or connect to a server or even connect to Azure itself. So the first time you got to do this, I'm going to hit Server Explorer, go over here to connect to Azure, and it's going to pop up saying I'm already logged in as my username, so I'm going to keep it there. Otherwise, you have to log in with your name of choice. Now, bear in mind, that can be different from the username you actually have up here for Visual Studio. So, on the right-hand side, I have my Visual Studio. I'm logged in. Again, this is just for my personal developer account, but on the left, I can access anyone's Azure content over here if I have their name and their key. So, we open this up, and we can see, I scroll down, not interested in mobile services or anything else, websites right now. So here are the websites I currently have hosted through my Azure account. I click on websites, right-click, create new site. It really is that easy. So right here I can see currently signed in as myself, and we're going to call this one MVA jQuery. Okay. Region, I'm going to select a region. Generally it's going to be the one that's closest to you and where you're doing your development. Normally I'd pick East because I'm in Philadelphia, but for this particular case, we are in West in Seattle. So click on that.
Oh, you're embracing the West.
I know, I try. Now we have no database we're connected to, so I'm just going to skip that for right now. Create a new website. See right down here, it's taking just a moment, doing its thing. I probably stopped updating because I zoomed in. There we go. It's going to take a moment to kind of talk to the server back or the Azure backend and say, okay, this individual starting line at Hotmail. That's probably why it's taking so long.
Some random number. It's like they see it's Hotmail. They're like, we're going to take our time here.
Like, yeah, about that. Yeah. It's going to take that. It's going to make a little website for me. And right here, we've finished. Just to confirm, I have MVA jQuery. Beautiful. Let's take a look at this. And you can see a little green check mark means that it's online. Look at this. I see there's files. I can browse and peruse all the files that are in here. It's going to refresh, see if there's anything up there. It's not going to return with anything because I haven't pushed anything yet. We just have our hosting start.html. So what I can actually do is I can go look at this blank site right now.
Let's do it.
I right-click.
Can you do it? I want to do it.
And I can go to View in Browser.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Beautiful.
It's been created successfully. And it even tells me we can publish it a number of ways. Git, FTP, Visual Studio Online.
Yep.
Which, I mean, we try to be as platform agnostic as we possibly can right now. Yep. And the fact you can deploy a website via the browser, it kind of blows my mind at this point. So we want to actually take the content that we have and push it to this new website. So I go back over here to my Solution Explorer, and I can see this right here. Top right corner we have, right, our little web server, my little dolphin again. Our web server. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to right click on this, and I am going to, where is publish? Copy, set a startup project. Oh, here we go. Publish website.
It's funny, you never find what you're looking for in those, like in any menu until you know what I mean, when someone's watching you, but otherwise you know exactly.
You got to dig through it. For some reason expect it to be further down, but hey, it is what it is. So right here I can select a publish target. I'm looking for Azure websites. Click on that. Okay, signed in as myself, and here are all the websites that I currently have created. In this case, I'm going to take MVA jQuery, the one we just made, hit OK. It's going to download the profile, so it's taking the name, the username, and the password, which Azure automatically generated for me on the back end, and it's going to push this to it. And it's going to this website right here, mvajquery.azurewebsites.net. It always adds this for these websites, the azurewebsites.net. You can change that anytime if you have maybe a redirect or you own your own domain or name. So right here, I'm just going to hit next. I don't have any other options I need to change. And finally, this preview. What it's going to do is show me all the changes I'm about to push up to this website, okay? So because the first time we're doing it, I'm essentially loading up the entire site. So I can see the folder structure, all the JavaScript files, everything that's getting pushed, and my actions, add, delete. I don't have to add everything, as well as the time it was last modified. So let's take this, push it, and you're going to see. Because
you're just going to put it all up there.
Yes, so down here it moved so fast, let me get a moment to show you, but it said it was publishing down here in the corner and down here in this corner as well. And it popped up a new website for me. So where did that guy go? You know what? I think I exited out, but that's cool because we can go back to Solution Explorer, I can go there, and where is it? View in web, view in browser.
There you go.
Oh, wrong one, that's localhost. Actually, you know what? Sorry, this index file. Yes. Nope, that's still localhost. What did I do here this time? Okay, you know what? Worst case, I can go back over here to my new little Server Explorer. I'm going to hit refresh and see all of these changes. Whoa, look at this. Files, Angular, jQuery. It's all there now. So now I'm opening up this jQuery, and there is our index.html. That's our entry point for our website, right?
For part of it, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Here we go. I can right-click on that and open in browser. And it's going to take a moment. It's going to resolve that web address, and it didn't want to load it for me. Well, you know what? Let's go back and take a look-see. Let's go see what it looks like in our actual portal here. Here's our Azure web portal. So I'm going to go into refresh and take a look and see if it's updated with our latest content.
I mean, and this is pretty, anytime something like that happens, you go to the portal. Because a lot of people, when they're using the SDK, like you can create sites, you can create VMs, all that kind of stuff from the command line. You might never look at the portal.
No.
So, I don't know how you feel, but I almost always have the portal up. Because I'm just like, as amazing as it is, I want to, do I trust that it actually worked? So I go and I check.
Exact reason I keep that open. You want to go back and forth and make sure it's there. So you can see MVA jQuery currently running, West US, and here's the endpoint. Okay, so it says that website's launched, but you see it's always going to bring me back to this page, this entry point, because the way our folder structure worked out is it's going to bring me right to the main area here, okay? We actually have our website tucked away inside this these folders, so jQuery and index.html. So let me see if this works. jQuery/index.html. I do not know why it don't want to load that. All right, let's try this one more time. And we'll try uploading this bad boy one more time. So anytime I make a change to a website, like I can say, okay, I'm going to change my location from Philadelphia to San Diego. Whoops.
I mean, the other thing, too, is when you go to publish it, you could remove the other files and just select. Instead of selecting them all, you could probably just selected what you needed.
Let's go there. And we're going to publish this website again. Again, preview. You can see it should be just one change here. That's right. Publish. And right here, publish started. And on the bottom, it's pushing. So it's going to bring me to that main website again, but let's go jQuery/index.html. I still do not know why.
It could be the web config too.
Yeah. because we're still debugging through it. Okay, so let's go back one more time. We'll see if Stacy's little page is up now. Watch our luck. She's going to be trying to sabotage us here.
No, my guess, yeah, I totally did that.
Yeah.
My guess is just it has to do with the web config, and you need to go and check. Do you know what I mean? Because we have 2 folders, a couple web configs. It's not ideal for launching.
Yeah, correct. So we have the main one here. We have one for jQuery. We have another one for this.
So, you know, I think if you actually took your master, like that's kind of why I brought up the idea of the repo not being structured exactly normally. But if you took your jQuery folder and then just, you know, publish that, for example, then you might get exactly what you need from it rather than, you know, because when it goes to configure some of those things with the web config, it's looking at things like, you know, what directories do I have access to? You know, it's doing all those kind of rewrites and things like that. So you got to take a look at it from that example too.
Yeah. So worst case, let's go look at where your assets are located. So it's angular/assets/index.html. So go back to this page. If this doesn't work, angular/assets/index.html.
Yeah, it shouldn't.
Oh, well, we'll come back to that. Also, yes, there we go.
Yes.
Live services.
Oh
and the odd part is that I did this.
That was amazing.
Just before
that was amazing.
We actually had this.
Well, I mean, the thing is we can take a look at. So you talked about the Azure SDK, right?
Yes.
But you also talked about FTPing.
Yes.
Right, and so you're already in the portal, so we can kind of give them, you know, give people a sense of how do you FTP if they want to FTP.
Here we go.
Right.
So from the portal, again, I can make more websites as well and upload new content there. So I can make another site. So right here in the bottom corner, we have new, compute, websites. Very, very easy. I can use something like Gallery, which are basically pre-made websites, right?
Yeah.
Maybe it's something like a WordPress. I can instantly get a WordPress up and running, hit one button.
Usually pre-configured things that you might want to install again and again. So you might have a blank Node.js app. You might have a WordPress. You might have that kind of thing. Yep. Yep.
We have Apache Tomcats, more boilerplate HTML5 things, empty HTML5 sites. We just say something about Node over there. Yep, Node.js, empty site, starter site. WordPress. I run my WordPress through Azure, hosting it all here. But you know, let's take a step back. Let's go over here to New, Create Website, and Quick Create. Okay, so we're going to do MVA Angular. Okay, it's going to do check. It says, yes, that is open, so you're going to take it. And again, default plan. I have my plan. Let's do on the west. I'm going to create a website, and you're going to see creating website right here, MVA Angular in region west. And right here, it's starting to create it. Okay, it's going to take a few moments, kind of do its thing in the background. Thank you, web workers and web roles, for handling this for us. And we have a free tier. So as soon as this is done going in a minute, I'll show you how we can also view this from the Azure SDK. And then we're going to go back and actually push our new site via GitHub. Okay, so I created this new site right here. Should be up and running. Let's just make sure that it's there. Okay, successfully created. I like it. But now let's go back to the SDK real quick. And we can see right here, I don't see that site, so I can hit refresh. Refresh, and in a moment, we're going to see a new one pop up.
Come on, new site. Come on.
It's thinking about, it's like, yeah, you know what? I don't know. Unless I should log out and log back in. But again, these are the demo gods not wanting to work with us. So let's do that just to be safe. We're going to log out. The joy of authentication. Okay.
I've never heard someone say that before. That's awesome.
Yeah. Hey, to each their own. And websites refreshing. It's going to pull down the latest things. And there we go. MVA Angular. Okay. So again, we could just very easily push our website from here up to that. But we're not going to do that just yet. Instead, we're going to take this MVA Angular site. Okay. Let's open it up. And now we have the ability to integrate source control right at the bottom here. So I'm going to click on this, set up deployment from source control, and see the many different ways we have this. Visual Studio Online, so you can store it up there, previously known as TFS or Team Foundation Server. If I have a local Git repository on my machine, push it there that way. GitHub.
That's confusing to me, the local Git. I understand why.
Yeah.
It's like just ease of functionality, but Yeah, I don't know. I think that's part of the reason of using Git is to, push it somewhere so it's saved in a remote server.
Yeah.
But, I can totally see if you're using just Git on your machine and you're not wanting to do like a remote whatever, that's when, that case and when you use that.
Right. We've GitHub. I mean, even Dropbox and Bitbucket.
A lot of people don't consider Dropbox source control, and in many ways, it's not necessarily version control.
Right.
But it definitely does. A lot of people do use Dropbox in terms of just keeping their files there.
Syncing across multiple machines. I mean, who would have thought years ago you could use Dropbox to deploy a website?
Yeah.
But hey, it works. If the shoe fits, wear it. That's what I say.
The Dropbox shoe.
Yeah. So right here, click on GitHub. Okay. The new hotness. It's going to give me the ability to authenticate into GitHub. I've done that earlier, so I guess it didn't log me out, but now we can see. I've already logged in. It's going to look for a repository.
So typically, if you hadn't logged in and you weren't seen as logged in or any of that kind of stuff, you hadn't gone through this process, it just makes you do the typical authorization for a GitHub, that username, password, blah, blah, blah,
Definitely.
That you get anywhere else.
Yep. In this
once
case,
you've done that, you're done.
Yep. And one time and you're good to go. In this case, I've logged in already. Got David Voiles, and we're going to point to the same repository that we made available to all of you earlier, so that this way you could pull the code down. So you're going to see a lot of repositories I'm working with. Not all of them even have to belong to me, to tell you the truth. They can be ones that I've been
associated to, or
people have given me access to.
Sure.
So in this case, we're going to look at MVA jQuery. Okay. And we're going to deploy the master branch. So just to make sure we actually have this here, let's go to github.com/DaveVoiles. And here we go, MVA jQuery.
And I think the branch is really important, because if you look at the branches that you have listed, we have master. And master, that's typically what people see as production-ready code.
Yes.
Kind of like if you're from SVN, it's like the idea of a stable trunk or whatnot.
Yeah.
But the beauty about using this kind of scenario and using deploying from GitHub is that you could have the idea of a staging and a production environment.
Right.
So, I could be like, we're working on a project together, we're not ready for public consumption, but we still need to provide a way for other people to review it.
That's right.
Right? So we could have 2 or 3 branches. One might be develop, one might be master. We could use GitFlow, we could use any of that kind of stuff. But we could easily create those environments just by creating a new website and deploying from a different branch.
Definitely.
Which is like an amazing workflow once you get into that.
Yes, yes. Or even better, we can add new features and try them out. Maybe I only want to expose certain features to this sort of developers, or this development team who's then adding something on.
Yeah.
Or maybe just these new UI elements to our front end or UI team.
Yeah, because I do think a modern web developer these days, they have usually 3 environments, whether we want to admit it or not. We have a local environment. We often have a staging environment so that other people can review our work.
Yes.
And then we have what we're going to just publish. And so working this way really allows you to do that really quickly and efficiently.
Or it allows for A/B testing. Maybe you want to expose just certain parts of your site to certain users, another way of other users, and see and get feedback and reflection from them about how this content actually works out. So in this case, we're just going to publish this master repository, which again is located right here. You can see this lines up with this branch. I only have master at this point, but it's going to take all this content we have here and it's going to upload it to the site. So it looks good to me. When I'm done, I'm going to click OK. It's going to link them. So before you saw I was creating that site. Now it links it. OK. And I've completed 2 operations. Perfect. Right here it says your GitHub repo is linked.
Yay!
Perfect. Active deployment, the ID, author, deployed, and the date of deployment. So even better, up here on the right-hand side, I have the actual link to the GitHub. So again, at any point, I can look at it. People who are working on this project with me can see exactly where it's located from.
The other thing that's really awesome in the deployment history is that it will go through and list every single push you've made.
Yeah.
So if you were to go in, for example, and you were to go in and change something, and we were going to go, add something and whatever, which I could quickly do, for example, you'll see that it will automatically see a change in GitHub. It will run that process, and then you get all your deployments listed. So for whatever reason, instead of going back and rolling back your GitHub repository, let's say you added in, someone said, I would love the background to be purple instead of black. And you said, okay, I'm going to make this quick change. I'm going to push it. I'm going to commit it. And then they're like, I can't decide. I want to see it quickly. You don't need to touch GitHub again for a scenario like that. You can just go and click the previous deployment. It will go and deploy that again.
Even better.
So it's one of those things where it's keeping track of that version history for you.
Yeah.
And it allows you to easily select which item you want. So we only have, one item listed right now, but as you start to commit, you'll see all those things kind of come in.
Yeah, definitely. Or even better, I can sync on this machine, so I can have it sync right here in the bottom corner with any latest changes that we've had on GitHub as well. So it's really, it's like that two-way bonding you're kind of talking about before. I can pull the latest changes, or I can push up the latest changes that I want. So we have this. Let's go back and look for dashboard. So our dashboard, again, like Stacy had mentioned earlier, kind of gives us the current status of our site. So we can see it's kind of getting pinged and hit left and right here. We have the amount of data that's going up or down. You had mentioned earlier that we want to kind of keep our data profile low, again, not only for users, but also it's going to help keep your costs down. Right? Yeah. If you're serving a 1 megabyte website every single time, you're quickly going to run through your bill. Again, you can see my bill right up here on the top. Credit status, you can see I'm a BizSpark member, and how much I've spent already or have available left this month, as well as how many days are left before I can go through that. So through the portal here, you can see it hasn't really been hit yet, right? Very, very little information. I'm only using less than 1 megabyte for the entire site. I've served, less than 1/4 of a megabyte. And let's actually go here, site URL, and via Angular. So it's exactly what I thought it would look like, because again, we've got to navigate to the structure, jQuery/index.html. And here is that site from GitHub. So it failed. That was that alert that we had previously set there. Remember, so as soon as we launched that jQuery thing, it pops up with our little alert. So here's a little proof that our site is actually working at this point. So again, via Angular websites.net.
So go back to the portal.
Yes.
And go to your deployments, and let's just see if there's any magic going on.
Oh, whoa, what is this?
So I added a little change just while you're chatting along.
Okay.
And all I did was I just changed the title. I did nothing really, enough that I could commit it, and I pushed it. And there you go. You start to see which is the active deployment, right? Which one is it? When did it happen? What time, et cetera, et cetera. And it gives you the comment, too. So, if you're in a really good workflow with GitHub and you're always adding comments and they're always kind of really making sense, this is when you put in added new feature as per issue, whatever, blah, blah, blah. It gives you a really good sense of what this deployment is about, or why, or what it fixes, or any of that kind of stuff.
And it's even done by an unknown author. How spooky is that?
Oh, yeah. That's a little, I don't know. Yeah, I got something about that, but I'm unknown. Unknown.
Yeah.
Think of the freedom I have.
I know. Like anonymous over here.
Be right back. Gonna go crazy.
Yeah. But it's pretty neat to show that you can really update this website just about anywhere, any platform, any development environment, right? As long as you have access to that GitHub, you can make a change to that website. That's pretty powerful.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean it's a workflow that once you get into, if you're deploying from something, and there's other things you can do that we haven't shown. You can kind of create tap into the hook of when it deploys, and use other tools to send people emails. For example, like a new deployment has been whatever.
Check this out.
Go check it out. For example, so the idea more along the lines of continuous integration, you can start to have those tools kind of work together very, very easily.
Yeah.
And so deploying from GitHub or from source control, it becomes suddenly. I mean, you showed from just from Visual Studio, but just the idea that you make these hooks and it just automatically works and you're not worrying about that stuff is really, really refreshing and an efficient workflow.
Definitely. Or like you mentioned with websites or with notifications, maybe you have an email that goes out to users of your new social network or something to say, hey, we've updated to the second part of our beta. We'd love for you to check it out. It's already done. Maybe you have your PR or marketing team prepare that canned response months in advance with anticipation that you're actually going to launch the latest update. Your developers push the latest updates, and boom, it's all sent at the same time.
Yeah, just even notifying your team. Yeah. Like, fix this, 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 and this. It's now up. It now needs to be QA'd and approved and kind of like signed off, and we're good. Yeah. So, the ability to kind of introduce those workflows into your environment is very, very easy at that point.
Angular / assets /
No, it shouldn't be assets. It should just be Angular, right?
Yep.
Index.html, no?
Oh, it is?
Yeah.
In fact, it is.
Assets are things that we load in.
That's right.
Yep.
So there we go. There's our website up and running right there. Let's go back, take a look at this. So you're saying at any point I can click on this and just kind of roll back to what happened, right? Yeah,
you should be able to just...
There we go. Redeploy.
You can redeploy that item, and then you can basically say, I want to use this one instead of that one, whatever it may be. So you can, easily, once again, just, and the example I gave was like, kind of like an ideal example for me personally.
Yeah.
Like, hey, I just want you to change these colors, or something very, very simple, and I just want to look at it quickly. You know, you don't always have that person sitting in front of your computer, so you can be like, what about this? Or screenshot it. But if they're somewhere else and they have a link and that's their kind of your staging environment, you can just, you know, push it, deploy it really quickly, you know, go back, push it again, whatever you need to do.
Yeah, absolutely. So, I mean, that really covers the source control that we're kind of handling by Git earlier.
Yeah.
So again, you can use Git command line, you can use GitHub, really it's Git of your choice. Which kind of really makes our life much, much easier. So again, we kind of covered Git earlier. Again, there's source control. I think the biggest selling point for me personally is you don't have to pull down the entire project. Especially to start working on larger things. You only have to pull down the branches that are relevant to what you're doing at that point. And again, versioning. I mean, keeping the master branch, development branch, different forms of staging. So there's quite a bit that we can do with this.
Yeah, I mean, for me personally, when it comes to GitHub and it comes to this work environment and deploying, the thing that I show most web developers is, here's a really good workflow for doing staging and production. Part of it comes back to how do you work with Git and figuring out a good process for that. A lot of people reference Git flow as a way to kind of work with Git. Yep. You know, but if you have a process that you guys agree on, you know, here's an easy way for you to get up and running and create those environments and not have to worry about configuring all, you know, like a lot of things is that you find web developers are kind of, you know, dipping their toes into DevOps a little, whether they want to or not. Like, I know how to configure a server, I know how to go in and start up a VM, and I know how to do all those things. Did I want to do that in my life? Did I ever anticipate that? Probably not. But, you know, I learned and I can do it. And I'm comfortable enough to get that set up. I'm probably not the right expertise. Why not let someone else do that? If I don't have a DevOps person, why not use a platform that provides all of that stuff for me?
Oh yeah, definitely.
Right? So it kind of takes off that pressure a little bit as a web developer, I think personally, where I can be like, boom, you know, as long as I'm not doing anything too crazy, if you start adding in all sorts of other things, you'll start to see, okay, you're going to need a little bit of knowledge, but it's not scary anymore to me. And I think that's the most rewarding thing about deploying in those kind of ways. Definitely.
So I found out what was going on with all that funkiness where it wasn't actually deploying our website.
Oh, it's your chance to redeem yourself.
I know.
Yes,
so
redemption.
Is there any way to kind of create a reverse explosion? You know, I mean, we had the explosion before, but now it's actually, it's like a black hole kind of coming. There we go.
Yes,
all right.
Yes.
So now it actually works
Asking
correctly.
you well received.
Beautiful, beautiful. So let's go take a back look at what I was doing before. So again,
amazing.
Just to prove it was actually happening, I'm going to create one more website in this portal, go back into Azure, into Visual Studio, and deploy that way.
Yeah, you are.
So website, quick create. Now this thing works. AzureWebsites.net. No one else is taking
clap.
it. Yes.
Totally.
Again, West, create website, and look at this. Look how fast this bad boy is going. Okay, creating a website in the portal. Again, thank you again, web workers and web roles, for doing all of this. I like to think of them as like the little Oompa Loompas in the background, kind of doing all the stuff you never get to see. Right, they're the ones making all the magic happen.
Okay, that just makes me like, where's the lollipops?
Yeah.
Want the lollipops. It's all about candy all the time.
Yes, yes. Who needs chocolate? We have lollipops. So we have now this thing works. Go to this, Azure Websites. I just want to make sure, okay, it is working, up and running. Again, let's go back to Visual Studio, Server Explorer. And remember, sometimes we had to hit refresh. May not refresh right away and pull back everything. There we go. Now this thing works. This site, located here, nothing in there. Go back to my Solution Explorer. I'm going to take this project we're currently working on. I'm going to publish this website. Again, I'm going to go to Azure Websites, take this, change it to, now this thing works.
It's such a good name.
Yeah. Connection. I don't have to worry about the rest of that stuff. I'm just going to hit publish. So what? I literally hit two buttons and then publish. And look at this. Publishing started down here, bottom right corner.
You guys didn't see that, but Dave basically did the drop the mic move. He was just like, boop.
Boom. Okay. Now it says this website has been successfully created. That's still a very good sign. And our web address before to your Angular project was Angular / index.html. That's our entry point.
Yeah, hopefully.
Enter. And there we go.
See that something's deployed.
Yes.
Yep.
So now we can see very clearly that we made a website in one of these things. There we go. Made a new website here.
Yep.
And then I was able to hit that endpoint from Visual Studio. I go here. I just want to show you that everything's changed. Actually uploaded the project. And now everything works. So we have our files. It's going to refresh everything. Cool. There's Angular. There's jQuery, there's everything else.
What way do you find yourself working personally more? Do you think that, like, are you more of, going through Server Explorer? Are you more a GitHub person? Like, are you FTP? Like, what do you find that you do the most?
It can be a bit of both. I use GitHub pretty often, but I don't have a private account, so all my things on GitHub are public at this point.
Yeah.
But I'm all about open source, so I generally stick there.
Yeah.
If it's projects, like I'm making a lot of Unity games, and I'm using plugins that are premium that I can't expose to the public freely, so what I'll do is I'll create a local account using Visual Studio Online, keep it stored locally, and then also push to my private cloud there. And I end up coming to the Server Explorer right here and pushing all of my content that way.
Yeah, I think that's actually brings up kind of a good issue. Is a lot of times when you're doing websites, you have certain variables that you might, or connection strings, any of that kind of stuff. You might not want people to know.
Yep.
So for example, you're working with the Twitter API, or for example, our header with our application. We might not want people to see that, right?
Yeah.
And if you put it in GitHub, it's free for everyone. Everyone can see it. And if you want to be truly like, hey, take my repository and fork it, you don't want to remove things that it's going to break your project.
That's right.
Or cause you more management problems.
Yep.
So a lot of people, what you can do in terms of websites is you can use like any of the environment kind of variables, and you can set those up in Azure. So that's also a really nice way to work, is that you start referencing the environment variables that you can set in Azure, and then that way you don't have to worry about if someone knows your Twitter app ID and secret or what any of those kind of things. And so typically what I'll end up doing is I'll work locally, make sure that it all works, and then I'll set those in variables locally, go those steps, and the same thing once I go to deploy, I'll then go in and in my Azure website, I can go and configure, and I can put in a couple of variables if I need them.
Definitely.
And it's just good to go, and it just kind of works that way. So, if you are feeling like, working with GitHub and it's all public, all those kind of things, there are ways to kind of circumvent some of those things that you might want a little private, and that usually connection strings, API keys, those tend to be the top ones anyways.
Yeah. At any point I can go over here, back to the actual website within the portal itself, and I can see, here we go, dashboard, I can see all the information that I need, right? So I have my FTP, so I can hit this, again, from any FTP tool, maybe FileZilla, whatever it is you're using at that point.
Yep.
I have logs, I have my subscription ID, as well as a BizSpark member. But sometimes I have to make some changes here, or go to push or publish my website again. Something I ran into before was if I go to publish, you'll see connection. It'll ask for a password every time, okay? Obviously my password is kind of obfuscated here.
Yeah.
But sometimes it won't have that field entered if I didn't have saved password. So I'll sit there and think like, oh God, how am I going to find this?
What was my password again?
Yeah,
that's like the history of my life.
Yes, so that is kind of tough, and I've run into that several times myself. So what I can do is...
So what's the solution for that?
So I can right-click on the website right here in the Solution Explorer, click Download Publisher Profile.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yep, and you can see in just a moment, there it is, Publisher Profile. I'll drag this right into Visual Studio, open it up, and look, we have the profile name. I'll scroll over just a little bit. Publisher URL, so here's how access to publish it, and finally, here's my username, which I can hit from any FTP server. And the password. It's that long string of, whoops. Go over password,
Password
username.
that it generated for you.
Yes. So if you ever forget, it is always located right there. Or one additional route.
Yeah, you can go in the portal. And
right in the portal, under dashboard, on the right-hand side, I can again download that publisher profile. It's going to take just a moment. Go in my download queue, and again, I can drag and drop that into Visual Studio, or really any text editor. Let's open this up. Oops, actually, I shouldn't have done that. I should have saved it. But essentially, it'll be the exact same thing. So there you have it. We've given you a number of ways to really access and wrap up everything you can do with GitHub, source control, FTP, working with the web portal, and working with Visual Studio to push and deploy your websites.
Yeah.
Is there anything else you thought we were missing or we should cover over there?
No, I mean, the only other thing is you can do basic FTP. You can just set up your deployment credentials in Azure. again, FTP might be handy if you're working with, maybe you like to FTP and that's how you want to work, and that's totally fair. Or maybe you have a designer who needs some FTP credentials because they're just going to update some images for you or something, and you don't have it under source control, or however you work. We're not here to judge workflows, just to provide options. And so you can also, do FTP as well in case you want to like download it all or whatever reason. So you also have that option.
Yeah, maybe even designers have another art folder with just designer docs and the art they want to have inserted into there, something like that.
Yeah, there's a variety of reasons why you might want that access, so it's there too. So I think that would be the only other thing I would think about. But I think showing the GitHub kind of or Git role or the way that works, whether or Dropbox, really kind of makes sense to me personally.
Yeah. So thank you again for joining us. I hope you had just as fun of a time as we did.
Got a little loopy.
The joy of live coding and kind of making it all happen on the fly. So we're trying to make the best experience we possibly can for you. So please don't forget to take advantage of that poll we have at the bottom of the chat there. This way you can really start to design these courses around
I want to say it's like
what you're looking for.
Yeah.
So if we're right here, it's going to be right over there to the chat window. I'm hoping to point in the right direction, not the other one.
That way.
So the chat window is actually located to my right here, so I can actually see it. Yeah, thank you, Michael, for answering all those questions. I really appreciate that.
Exactly.
So you can find Stacy. Where can we find you?
You can find me on the Twitters. I've got my blog. I mean, I'll be back next week. I'll be
type my name into a search engine. It's very easy.
Type it. But you can, next week I'll be back. I'll be doing an introduction to Node.js.
Yes.
And I'll be back in December. I'll be doing some PHP. So, hopefully my demos will go a little smoother.
Web dev extraordinaire.
Yeah. Like to think so. But,
yes. I use Dave Voiles for just about everything, Xbox, Twitter, whatever else. I was here a few weeks ago covering a course on Unity and game development, how to tie specifically your Unity game into Azure to make things like leaderboards using, as Stacy showed us before, Azure Mobile Services.
Yep.
How flexible is that, right? You can use it for leaderboards, for a video game, or even to pull content and data for our jQuery and Angular websites.
Yeah. Well, thanks for spending as much time as you had with us today. We had a really good time. I'm talking for us both, but it was a lot of fun. So, hope to see you guys again. Web Wednesdays.
Woo, woo, woo! Thank you again. Hopefully we'll see you on the next one.